Hello everyone, my name is Rahul. This video is regarding the research project which had been given to us after the completion of the Power BI module at Ivy. The topic of our research project is Indian passenger car market analysis using Power BI. Now let's take a look at the contents of our presentation. We have the introduction to our dataset, tools used, process and the workflow, major objectives, data analysis, key findings using data visualization, conclusion. Now, let's have a brief introduction to our dataset. India was the fourth largest car manufacturer in the world in 2019. Indian motor vehicle manufacturers produced 22.65 million motor vehicles in 2020 and 2021. Indian passenger car market was valued at 32.7 billion US dollars in 2021, and it is expected to reach a value of 54.84 billion US dollars by 2027, which is a massive increase of 40%. India could also be a leader in the manufacturing of shared mobility by 2030, providing opportunities for electrical and autonomous vehicles. Now, let's discuss regarding the contents of the dataset. This dataset consists of a data which contains the information, specifications, and details regarding the various car manufacturers, such as the number of the models launched by a car manufacturer, engine capacity, ex-showroom price, body type, fuel type used, transmission types, seating capacity, number of airbags, and more. Now, let's take a look at the actual dataset. Here we have the manufacturer, the model, and the number of the variants available for that model, ex-showroom price, displacement, number of cylinders, and many other technical specifications such as the fuel tank capacity, fuel type, and so on. After looking the contents of our data set, now let's take a look at our major objectives. Find out the manufacturer with highest number of unique models in the market. Determine the number of models by various manufacturers available at different price ranges. Find out the preferred transmission and fuel type. Determine the classification of the vehicles based on the length of vehicles. Determine the most popular seating capacity available in the car market. Determine the minimum and maximum power torque for a given engine displacement. Determine how engine displacement and transmission type is affecting performance. Determine which are the various body types available in the market. Determine the average number of airbags provided for various body types. Determine the boot space among the various body types. Look at the tools used. Here we used Excel for quick viewing and classification of the data set. We've used Power BI to analyze, extract, and visualize the retrieved insights. Now, let's take a look at the process and the workflow involved. At first, we import the raw data and then we use Power Query and Power Pivot. Both Power Query and Power Pivot are included in Power BI. Power Query is used for changing and transforming data types, applying filters and conditions to the data. Power Pivot is used for modeling the data, create relationship between the tables, and we can use DAX functions to create measures and calculated columns. So using this, we can create the charts and grids and finally the multiple page dashboards in the report view of the Power BI. Now let us load our data set into the Power BI. Now in the Home tab, click on the Get Data and select the file format of the dataset. Here we have used a CSV file format based dataset. Click on the text and CSV. Here it shows a quick overview of our dataset. Click on the Transform Data, which takes us to the Power Query editor. Here in the Power Query editor, we can change the data types And we can add columns based on a conditions. We can add a custom column based on a certain formulas. Here in the transform tab, we can extract the certain number of characters between the delimiters using the extract functions. We can use split columns to split the column. In the number column, we can use the standard to perform numerical operations on the columns, and we can use a statistic to find out the minimum, maximum, medium, average, and so on. So using this, using the Power Query editor, we can transform and add columns and change data types of the existing data. Here in the data view, we can use DAX functions to calculate the measures and the calculated columns. Here we used one of the DAX functions to calculate the average power to weight ratio. Now let me show you how to calculate a measure. Right click on the field for which you have to create a measure. Click on new measure. Now I want to find out the average fuel tank capacity. Here we can see that there's a new measure created named average fuel tank capacity. This is how we create a measure in Power BI using DAX. Similarly, we can create calculated columns using DAX. Now let's head on to data analysis key findings using data visualization. Our first objective was to find out the manufacturer with highest number of unique models in the market. We've used area chart to determine the manufacturer with the highest number of unique models in the market, and it can be seen that the Maruti Suzuki has the highest number of models or the variants. It has 18 variants. Our next objective was to determine the number of the models or variants available by various manufacturers at different price ranges. We've used the area chart to identify the above objective. Here we can see that the price ranges such as the 10 to 15 lakhs, 5 to 10 lakhs, and the above 1 crore price range has the highest number of models or variants by various manufacturers. Uh, our next objective is to determine the preferred fuel type and the transmission. Here we have used a donut chart in order to determine the distribution among the various fuel types. It can be seen that the petrol and the diesel are the preferred fuel types. In terms of the transmission, we have used a tree map visualization to visualize the distribution, and it can be seen that the manual transmission is the preferred transmission. Now let's head on to our next objective, determine the classification of vehicles based on the length of the vehicles. Here we have the classification table which contains the length on which the classification needs to be done. Now let's head on to the Power Query editor. Here we have added a conditional column which specifies the conditional operator. If the length is less than or equal to a particular value, it returns the required output. So based on this conditional column, we have classified the vehicles based on the length of the vehicles. So most of the cars in the market belongs to compact and the mid-size classification. Our next objective is to find out the preferred seating capacity available in the market. Here we have used the donut chart to find out the distribution, and hence we can see that the 5 and the 7 seater are the most preferred seating capacity available in the car market. Next objective is to determine the minimum and maximum power and torque for the given engine displacement. Here we have used the gauge chart in order to find out the distribution. Yeah, 35 represents the minimum power, 740 represents maximum power, 145 represents the average power, and 100 represents the median power among the models available by various manufacturers. Here we have a slicer which consists of an engine displacement which can be used in order to determine the minimum and maximum power and torque for a given engine displacement. Our next objective is to determine how engine displacement and transmission type is affecting the performance. Here we have multiple slices. One is engine displacement and the other one is the drivetrain. And here we have the cards which shows the performance as and when we filter the things using the slices. Our next objective is to determine which are the various body types available in the market. We have used a clustered bar chart to determine the distribution among the various body types. Sedan, SUV, hatchback are the most popular body type. They constitute around 88% of total among the others. Our next objective is to determine the average number of airbags provided for the various body types. Here we have used a matrix which shows the minimum seating capacity of various body types with average number of airbags that is provided by the various manufacturers. Our final objective is to determine the boot space provided for the various body types. Here we have used 100% stack bar chart to find out the distribution of the boot space among the various body types. It can be seen that the boot space category of 200 to 300 liters is common among the various body types. Now, the final part of our presentation is conclusion with key findings and interactive dashboard. Now, let's jump on to the Power BI interface. Here in the report view, we have created the 3-page Power BI dashboards with the help of the visualizations that we have created from our objective. And we also have created a button navigation where we can navigate through different pages by clicking on that button. Here is the second page of our dashboard which consists of the performance analysis, and the final page consists of the price and the body type comparison. Now, in the first page of our dashboard, we have two slices. One is related to brand, the other one is related to model. Now, if I want to compare the two cars from two different manufacturers, let me go to the brand slicer and search for the car brand. For the sake of our comparison, let's compare Honda and Hyundai and select the model Honda City and Hyundai Creta. And here we can see that both of the cars have the petrol as their common fuel type, and both are classified under the same classification, mid-size, and 5-seater is the seating capacity for both the cars. In both of the cars, manual transmission is the preferred transmission type among the different variants. Now let's head on to the performance analysis dashboard. Here we have two slices. One is the engine displacement, the other one is the drivetrain that is being used. So using these slices, we can analyze the various performance aspects such as the average RI certified mileage, the average ground clearance, the average fuel tank capacity, the average power to weight ratio, the average number of gears, the average torque to weight ratio, and in the gauge chart we can determine the minimum power, the maximum power, the average power, and the median power from the given engine displacement and the type of the drivetrain that is being used. Now let's head on to the price and the body type comparison. Here we have the comparison of the body type and the number of the airbags and seating capacity using a matrix. Here we have the clustered bar chart to determine the preferred body type, and here we have the comparison of the popular body type and the boot space. Here we can see that the boot space category of 200 to 300 liters is common among the various body types. Here we have used area chart to determine the number of the models which are available at the different price range. So this is it. This is the three-page report, which is consisting of the various insights that we have derived from the data set. Now, let's start the conclusion with the key findings. Maruti Suzuki has the highest number of the models in the market at different price segments. The price range such as 10 to 15, 5 to 10 lakhs, and above 1 crore has the highest number of models by various manufacturers. Petrol and diesel are the most popular and preferred fuel type. Manual transmission is the preferred transmission type. Based on the length of the car, compact and the mid-size are the preferred car type. 5 and the 7 seating capacity is preferred among others. We have determined the maximum and minimum power, average power to weight ratio, and average torque to weight ratio, average mileage, and the average fuel tank capacity for a given engine displacement and drivetrain. Sedan, SUV, and hatchback are the preferred body type. Comparison of the body type and the boot space is done. Comparison of the seating capacity and the number of the airbags have been performed. Finally, thank you for watching this presentation.